This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We're starting with Arena because that pitch was trash. And Chris Cody somehow managed to defend him. So, Chris, I'm going to open you up to the national audience right now. You Miami homer. Let's get that out there, first of all. You're a Miami homer. Please explain yourself. How can you defend that inside, what you're calling an inside pitch when it's just blatant, unwritten rules of baseball nonsense?
Look, I coached high school baseball, and I know that sounds like a joke, but I've been in these conversations where you're dealing with a hot hitter. This Acuna Jr. guy for the Braves has hit 8 home runs in 8 games. He led off the last 3 games with home runs against the Marlins. Like, you have to make him uncomfortable. You have to get him off the plate. So the game plan going into that was 100%, hey, first pitch, let's knock him down a little bit. Let's move him back. Let's make him uncomfortable. So the very first pitch, Urania, who hits more batters than anybody, he's wild as it is. He was trying to throw inside. It ran a little too far away from him, and he hit the batter. This is exactly what Urania said. Like, it makes sense.
I understand that is a good way to avoid getting fined. And maybe, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. There is definitely a possibility that it got away from him. But what I don't understand about baseball is why can't you just put your hand up and wave to the guy like, my bad, that's not what I was trying to do. The pitchers always react in the same way, which makes me think that it was intentional. They react by puffing their chest out and walking towards the player or walking towards the bench as if they are ready to fight. Like, where is the sportsmanship? Like, we always talk about how baseball is the oldest game, America's pastime, blah, 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 blah. When rather than striking a guy out or getting a guy out who is playing well, what you do is hit him with the ball. And then you got people like Keith Hernandez coming out and saying, well, you got to knock him down. So maybe I misinterpreted this because I did not coach college baseball. High school baseball. Sorry, I gave you a little too much credit. Maybe I didn't coach high school baseball, so maybe I don't understand what the language means. But knock a guy down to me means hit him with the pitch. But you're saying that it just means scare him real good?
No, it just means make him move his feet. He's feeling so comfortable in the box right now that you want to just do something that makes him think like, oh, wow. Like, you want to just, like, jolt him a little bit. And there's ways to do that. Like, there's ways to throw inside without drilling him in the elbow. So you think that Urania went into this game starting first pitch of the game. He's like, you know what? I know I'm just going to get ejected. That's fine. I'm doing it. No.
That doesn't sound that crazy to me.
Why would
he's not from baseball.
Pitcher. He's a starting pitcher.
In baseball, they carry grudges for months. And the first time they see the batter that they carry a grudge over, they hit him with a pitch. So I don't think that is outrageous. Oh, because the Marlins need to win every game because they're going to go to the World Series. They can't throw one away, one of the 1 million baseball games there are in a season. That's just, I find it hard to believe. And if you want someone to move their feet, you have to throw the ball at them. Because if you don't throw the ball at them, they do not have to move, right?
I mean, he's not having a good year. He's 3-12. The team is like 27 games under 500. So I understand him saying, why would I want to, waste a start? I only pitch every 5th day. Why would I want to throw, one pitch and get ejected? Like, because you can. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you pitch or not. I mean, according to him after the game, he did say that he was checking on Acuna when Acuna came out to the mound and Acuna was just ignoring him. But it looks bad. I mean, it looks bad. He does throw down his glove like he wants to, fight the Braves when the Braves are out there.
He did that once they all came out there. If you look at him right away, he's just kind of like, because in the past, Urania, who I believe leads the league in hit batsmen, he in the past has been a guy that's like, yeah, that's right, I did that. I didn't see that last night. I mean, I did once they really came out after him and the Braves manager was losing his mind. Once that happened, I saw him kind of like say what's up. But in the past, he has hit people and like right away been like, yep, that's right. And I didn't see that last night.
Okay, I will accept that there's potential that I'm wrong, and I apologize to you, Miami, Arania, and everyone if I am wrong.
You're in the popular opinion right now, by the way.
But I'm going to put out there that it's possible that I'm wrong. I don't understand the ins and outs of baseball in the same way that you weren't the head coach, were you?
Assistant head coach, third base coach.
The same way that high school third base coaches do. So I'm going to accept that as a possibility, and I'm going to throw that out there. But more importantly, I need to find out. So you said he says, "What's up?" Is that what you say when you're about to fight, or if you're going to get in a fight?
Drop the glove. What's up? What's up? A little chin nod. What's up?
My go-to was, "You don't know me." That was always my go-to.
That's good.
That was always my go-to because the assumption is that if you're challenging me, you think that you got me figured out, that you can beat me. So you go straight to, and I was always a smaller guy. You don't know me. That's a go-to.
Yeah, that gives off like you're crazy. You don't know me. Look at these eyes. You see these eyes?
I don't think you're wrong, by the way. I know that you're saying, that you may be wrong about this, because I don't think you're wrong. I do think it was intentional. Like, I don't want you to think that you're alone and that everybody in Miami is like, oh, everybody's picking on it. I think it was intentional.
If I had to bet money on it, if we could hook him up to a lie detector, I would say that it was intentional, that he was trying to throw the ball at him. And I don't know that he wanted him to move or he wanted to actually hit him. When you're throwing a 97-mile-an-hour ball at a man, I guess you have to take into consideration that you might hit him. So I think he was trying to hit him. He's trying to throw the ball at him. And third base coach over here is making excuses because he's a homer.
Were you, like, super fired up about it? Because I thought it was strange, like, how upset everyone was about it and how everyone's like, he should be suspended for the rest of the year, and everyone's, like, trying to outdo each other with what the punishment should be. Like, were you that angry about it? Because it seems strange to me how many people cared about a Marlins-Braves game.
I think it's just mostly because he got injured and because he didn't get hit because of one of those unwritten rules where it's like you showed a guy up or something. He got hit because he was too good, right?
Well,
that's the argument, is to knock him off the plate or to back him off the plate because he's been playing too well, right?
Yeah, I think that's why people are all up in arms. It's like, you can't hit a guy just because he's awesome, which is a valid point. But if to play the devil's advocate, like on the Marlins side, Acuna was like showboaty on a lot of these home runs he's been hitting. Like, which I like. I'm not like arguing against it, but the people out there that are like, oh, he's too flashy, all that noise, that could be a fair argument against him because he is one that pimps home runs and really shows off.
Yeah, but that was like 2 days ago. Like, then you're entering Hunter Strickland territory where he's carrying things over from like 2 years ago when Bryce Harper showed him up. Like, how long are you going to hold the grudge against whatever he did or didn't do, you know?
The real excitement is the next time Urania pitches against the Braves. Because I'm going to be there for that if it's in Miami, because they're definitely going to drill him. If I'm the Braves, I don't want him to get ejected. I want Urania to have to come into the batter's box in that game. That would have been exciting.
All right, 2 questions. Pimps home runs, like I've heard that terminology before. I think it's hilarious, the idea that, like, literally you can pimp home runs, which is not actually a question, but what does it exactly mean? Is it just like you walk funny, or
you can,
how can you pimp a home run?
As soon as you hit it, you're looking at it and you like take it before you start jogging, you got a couple steps, maybe a little.
But the origins of that, like do you know what the definition of pimping means? Like, you understand what that means?
Yeah, I get
so it doesn't really match up.
Right.
Domonique, there's unwritten rules as to how you're supposed to round the bases and comport yourself after you hit a home run. And apparently, some people do not follow those rules, which are not written anywhere. And when you don't follow those rules that are unwritten, you're going to get hit. That's the way it works.
What is the parallel for throwing a ball at a man or hitting somebody with the pitch in other sports or in your workplace? Like, at work, is it just like the passive aggressive email? Is that the equivalent to throwing a ball at somebody?
I think it's higher. It's above an eye roll or like a groan, right? Like, eye roll and groan are not as serious as hitting someone with a pitch. But it is a good question. So, like, what is like a normal work environment equivalent to hitting someone with a pitch? So you think it's like an email, like a passive aggressive email?
Yeah, or maybe it's definitely not passive aggressive. It's a fully aggressive email, right? Because passive aggressive would be knocking somebody off the plate. Hitting someone with the pitch is like straight on profanity in your email. That's one short of a fight.
No, it's different though, because remember, he didn't do this on purpose, if you're to believe what he said. So like, if you're fully aggressive email, that's like, yeah, you know what, I hit you and what, or whatever it is that Chris says when he wants to start a fight. Come get some. The passive aggressive email is when you hit someone and you're like, oh, what are you talking about? It just got away from me. I hit the most people in baseball.
I think Urania was sending a strongly worded email about someone, and he accidentally sent it to them. So the person got the email that they weren't supposed to get.
That's
so like the accidental email on purpose.
Yes.
So you're talking trash. Have you guys ever done that? I've definitely done that, where I'm writing a text where I'm talking bad about somebody, and because that person's name is in my head, I've definitely go ahead and put that in the to area and sent them the text that talks really bad about them to them. Am I the only one that's ever done that?
I don't think I've done it. I've been like close to doing it. Allison's here today. I feel like that's something Allison has done on multiple occasions.
Allison, this is where you chime in.
No, well, I was on the other side of the room. I've never done it, but I have a fear that I will do it. And therefore, I try and write the text first and then put the name in after, especially if it's about someone.
So I did it, and my reaction was to then continue it quickly. You don't let them respond. You quickly follow up with another insulting text. And you make it seem like it was all intentional.
Yeah, like,
and it was a joke from the beginning.
Just like a man.
I'm sure they saw right through it, but it made me feel good. It allowed us both to continue the charade that we actually liked each other. That's the move, right?
Yeah, it's the move.
And then if you get into an altercation, you say what? So Chris, if you and I fought, it would be what followed by a you don't know me, and I'm putting my money on me. I'm just going to go and throw that out there.
Yeah, me too.
What can you beat me in, Chris?
Ping pong?
No chance. My friends call me King Pong, honestly.
Golf?
Not putt-putt.
Hey, I could.
You can't
Bet
be
you
King
can't beat me
Pong.
in putt-putt.
No, you can't be King Pong.
I'm King Pong. It's the truth.
That's what I'm
Pretty
saying.
cool
You can't
nickname.
beat King Pong in ping pong or golf.
I'll beat you in Madden.
Not in King Pong. No, you can't beat King Pong.
Randy!
What's up, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry for being late. I'm sorry that you had to carry the show. Oh, it sounds like you had some help.
I had a little bit of help. I don't know that I did carry the show. I attempted to carry the show. What actually took place, I'm not quite sure it qualifies as carrying, but first question. Did you sprint over?
Yeah, I made it over. Like, I'm still wearing a ton of TV makeup. Like, I look like I belong in like a mortuary right now.
What? So was it a run, a speed walk, a jog?
Speed walk, like one of those where it's enough to get shin splints, but not enough to sweat.
All right. Last question for you before we go to the break. You have to weigh in on this Aranya situation. What are your feelings?
I feel like I get a whole segment to do that. Don't fence me in on just 10 seconds before the out. I think it was the bushiest of Bush League moves from a Bush League pitcher. That's what I think.
Oh, you spoiled it. I thought you were going to tease us. But you're gonna have some fight with Chris when we come back.
What? Cody, no. You support that behavior?
I'm saving it.
The tomfoolery? All right, fine.
Dan Le Batard.
Does Sam Darnold look like a Lego policeman?
Stugotz.
Oh,
Wow,
yes. That is fantastic.
That's
yes,
tournament team.
yes.
Write it down.
Number
Tournament
one seed,
team.
right? I mean, man, that is good.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We need a tandem nickname. I feel like you came in with Domonique, Foxworth, and Randy Scott, but like we need I don't know, like Fox and Scott. Like we need that's black and red.
Well, your nickname for me back when you were doing Sports Center hits a year ago.
Oh
was
man,
the Menace.
that was fun. Yeah, you were the Menace.
But it wasn't because like, well, look out, this guy's a wild card. You never know. It was more like you look like Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, you like Dennis the Menace. Went through like a Scared Straight program, and then ended up getting his life together and going to college and becoming an accountant.
And then had a bunch of kids and didn't sleep for a while. So, that was it.
Man,
That's
that is the life.
That was the physical comparison there. Have we broken the sad news? Have we done that yet? I mean, that's why we came in. One of the reasons we came in with Aretha Franklin. The Queen of Soul has passed away at the age of 76. I don't want to downplay that. I mean, if you need somebody to tell you what sort of a loss that is, you haven't been paying attention for what, 50 years, 60 years? I mean, she was everything. She was everything in music, certainly talent-wise, but also in film. I mean, her cameo in Blues Brothers was something else. And I heard the discussion between Outsider and Roy making a Bristol appearance. But the conversation was, what are we going to come in with? Because it wasn't like, are we going to come in with Outsider wants, T-Pain or something, Twista. And it was like, no, we're going Aretha Franklin, but what cut? And Roy's like, respect is too obvious. We're going deeper than that. So that was kind of cool to witness. But you have a favorite Aretha song, Domonique?
I spent a lot of time, well, not a lot of time, but I spent some time yesterday, reading about Aretha's life. And I didn't know that it was like, I mean, I knew it wasn't like all smooth sailing, but I didn't know that there was so many like ups and downs and so many challenges, or I guess so many downs in her life. So,
yeah.
I don't know where to start with favorite Aretha songs.
Don't go Respect. Don't be that guy.
So you're putting pressure on me to get a deep cut?
I'm limiting that.
I feel like I like Aretha singing more than I like Aretha's song. So like Amazing Grace, her rendition of Amazing Grace stands out in my mind. Though that was not an Aretha original. That was incredible. And I mean, in the things that I read yesterday, it talked about how great she was at arranging music. Like, these are things that I think just go without notice, and you don't know necessarily. You just think of her as a singer. At least for me, I can't say that I was like some big diehard Aretha fan, but learning about her yesterday, I certainly gained a new level of respect for the things that she overcome in her musical ability.
Well, think of a black woman in the 60s who has money. Right, who has that platform and has that stage, who then provides bail money for people fighting for civil rights when they got in trouble with the law. That's what Aretha Franklin did, almost 50 years ago? I mean, you talk about like being ahead of her time and being socially conscious. That was Aretha. And I'm going to go answer my own question. Chain of Fools. I like Chain of Fools. That's a jam. And maybe we could play that today. All right, so that is our ode to Aretha, a woman who deserves far much more than that. Can I piggyback late onto that Jose Urena conversation and just maybe get, like, who down there in Miami is sticking up for this garbage can of a pitcher?
I am. Because, look, Ronald Acuna Jr., the Braves player, this young 20-year-old kid, or 19, he has been on fire. He's hit 8 home runs in 8 games. He led off 3 games in a row against the Marlins with, in the first inning, home runs in all 3 games. You have to, like, he's too comfortable at the plate. So the game plan, and I know this sounds bad and you want to laugh at it, I coached high school baseball. So I have been in these conversations when you're dealing with a hot hitter. I know it sounds funny, but it's actually true. The conversation is, it's never hit this guy. The conversation is, we need to make him feel uncomfortable. We need to throw it up and in, a little inside, make him like brush back, make him, maybe even if he falls to the floor, we got to get this guy thinking that this isn't so easy and that things might come at him. So, and Urena, who is a wild pitcher with his 2-seamer, it just got away from him. He was trying to throw inside. He was trying to just brush him back, and he hit him. He deserved to be ejected. It's a terrible look, but I believe that he was not intending to hit him. I don't think he's this, like, terrible person. I think it ran away from him. He was trying to throw inside. It ran away, and he hit him.
All right. Coming into the game, he was second in the National League in hit batters, right? Like, he had 10. He's what some might call a habitual line stepper. The problem was he went against a guy who's become a national sensation, and some might say a national treasure. And am I a Braves fan? Yeah, of course. So I'm talking to a Marlins fan, and I'm talking to a guy who probably thought Eric Gregg had a decent-sized strike zone in the 1998.
Great strike zone.
Excellent strike zone.
1997 NLCS. So, like, R.I.P. Eric Gregg. Like,
who is saying national treasure, by the way, Randy? I know you're Radio Randy today, so you're all over the place. You're like super extreme. Who is saying national treasure?
I think, like, Keith Law might agree that anybody who values prospects and the future of baseball, which, again, you guys root for the Marlins, and I'm sure your front office is fully aware of how important prospects are. Oh, man. No, you guys are totally fine. Derek Jeter's got it covered, 22 games out of first place. I guess my point is there are ways to get this guy out. Like, he's not, I don't know, this isn't like Albert Pujols in his prime. Like, throw him a breaking ball, throw something in the dirt.
Can I ask a question? What is I am not a true, like, long-time baseball fan. So this type of stuff, when I see or read about something like this, like, it really feels really out there, like the unwritten rule stuff, like, it makes me uncomfortable. So I was wondering if there is an analog in other sports. So I asked about what the analog was in the office place, but I wonder if there's an analog in other sports. Is this essentially like a hard foul? Is that what this is?
I mean, if hard fouls knock somebody out of the game and put their immediate, knocked him out maybe for a future game, like, that's what's tough about it is Urena throws hard. I'll give him credit for that, but like what he did and his ability to inflict injury is probably like, that's the reason why baseball is up in arms. I hate to do this, but we have to put a pin in this. We have to break because I want to respond to Cody. So we have more than 2.5 hours to do it. Hey, with the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just on airline purchases. And you can use those miles toward any travel expense like flights, hotels, rental cars, and more. Just book and pay for your travel using your Venture Card and redeem your miles toward the cost. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Credit approval required. Capital One Bank USA, N.A. More Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz with Domonique, Foxworth, and Randy Scott on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. So we talked about the Jose Urena deal. I don't like how popular, obviously he's popular with Chris Cody. How popular is he down in Miami?
He's not that popular down here, actually. I mean, he's our ace by default because he throws 97 with some movement. Yeah. I've always thought he's a guy that could be good just because of his stuff, but I wouldn't say he's overly popular. I'm really not defending him in particular. I'm defending baseball strategy and what you do to a guy who's hit a home run in eight straight games. I'm a high school coach, man.
Yeah. As long as we're trading high school stories, I hit a guy once in high school because he was trying to bunt and suicide squeeze, which last second you're taught to hit the guy, so you put him on and the run doesn't score, and I broke his nose. So, yeah.
I didn't like the way you delivered that. You delivered that with such pleasure.
Well, like...
You're so proud of yourself because you hit a 15-year-old in the face with a baseball.
Well, like, I don't know that I throw hard enough to bruise a piece of fruit, let alone, like, break someone's nose. So maybe he just had a, glass nose, but like
would Sports Center Randy be proud of himself, or is this Radio Randy? Is only Radio Randy proud of drawing blood from 15-year-old children?
What is the? We were 7. I think we were at 17, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know why there's a delineation between Radio Randy or TV Randy. But one thing I do respect about Domonique, and I'm not just saying it because we're working together, although via a 1,000-mile connection. But I like that you are the same dude. You've been the same dude on TV as you are off air and on radio, and so. Having said all that, I do want to get a former Terrapins take, I guess, on everything that's transpired. Right. Like, listen, we can all agree what happened to Jordan McNair is a tragedy, and what happened to the McNair family is a tragedy. But based on everything that's happened with your alma mater, say, over the last 72 hours, like, how does that sit with you?
It's depressing. I think the one thing that gave me a little bit of pride is I was impressed with how Wallace Lowe, the president, came out and took full responsibility. It didn't seem as if he was looking to hedge or be careful in any way. Like, he said the university was responsible for not returning Jordan McNair home. And that's not something that you expect necessarily from heads of schools or heads of companies or anyone when it is their fault. They tend to try to protect what they have, and it doesn't seem that Wallace Lowe is trying to do that. So I respect that. That's the only positive I think I can pull out of this. And it's interesting that we come off of the Acuna conversation to this one, because I think it's more, it's certainly about the culture at Maryland, and that conversation is somewhat about the culture in baseball. And obviously they're not similar at all, but there are things that just seem absurd that are acceptable in baseball. Like, someone is playing well or someone is doing well. We joked about it earlier saying, what is the office place equivalent? There is no real office place equivalent, because if someone gets upset at you at the office, you can't throw a ball at them. And I think those things are accepted because the culture of baseball makes it so. I think the same thing is true at Maryland, and frankly, it's true in football, particularly levels lower than the professional ranks, because at least in professional ranks, some guys have a little bit of power and agency. In the lower ranks, they believe that this is how you make tough men. Is you don't like that. It goes back to the days of Bear Bryant saying his players couldn't have water. Like, these are things that are ingrained in the culture. While it's not that anymore, it is something that I've talked to a bunch of my former teammates, and I've talked to like professional teammates. Everyone has these stories. No matter what school they went to, everyone has stories of when they put trash cans at the end of workouts. Like, there were 12, 13 trash cans around a workout because they expect you to throw up. Throwing up is a signal to your body that you are near dehydration. And the expectation is you throw up and you get back to work. Like, these are things that anyone who's been around football or played football would understand and know, and things that you accept. And I didn't think twice of it. When I was playing in college, I remember being very judgmental of my teammates who couldn't finish workouts, and my teammates who would collapse, or with my teammates who would start cramping up. Like, these were things where I was a part of that culture. And now, having been away from it and seen the world and experience work environments and school environments that don't involve football, like, I realize how stupid it is. And it's sad that sometimes the result is loss of life.
Well, your priorities change, right? As you get older, I think the way that you remember your playing days and your practice days also changes. And I think it speaks to you that you're able to recognize maybe how silly or ridiculous or even judgmental and inappropriate you might have been. And I'm guilty of that. I say that as somebody who, I remember, and I didn't play at a fraction of the high level you did, but like, you play some sport, play basketball in high school, and yeah, the trash cans are there on the end line as you're running suicides, which you're not even allowed to call it anymore. Like, now it's ladders, I think. I don't think you're allowed to call it suicides, but it was run till you throw up, because that's how I know if you're the coach, you've worked as hard as I think you're supposed to. And I'm guilty of joining in the chorus of like changing someone's name. If someone couldn't finish, you changed their name to, back in 95, you change it to the feminine equivalent, right? Like the closest thing to it. And I shudder and I cringe thinking about myself joining in that behavior, but that's the way it was. The fact
but you were a kid, like you're a teenager. The men who are responsible, like I think you should feel whatever way you're allowed to feel whatever way you feel about that. But it's not your responsibility. Like the environment was created by the adults that were there, and like we would practice. And I'd remember one or two examples specifically where a guy got hurt. And we didn't think much of it because when players get hurt in practice, the coaches yell, move it down. So you move down so you can continue practice so guys aren't standing around watching this guy get medical attention. But he doesn't get up. And eventually they bring a helicopter to take him, and we're just over there practicing. I was like, this is crazy. And then one time in training camp, I remember this is a player, a bigger guy who the heat got to him and he passed out. They put him in the back of, those little, Gator four-wheelers that they carry the Gatorade around in. They put him in the back of that. He was still unconscious and he's bouncing as they drive him into the locker room. And we're still practicing. And that's just, I don't know. When I look back on those things at the time, I didn't think much of it. It's just like, that's what happened. But now I look back and I don't know, just feel grateful that nothing worse happened.
Yeah. We've, the parents of Jordan McNair, again, the offensive lineman who passed away in June from heat stroke, caused by and experienced during that Maryland workout. The parents were on Good Morning America this morning. We'll try to have some sound outside or at least paraphrase what they say in just a minute. But first, though, a word from Walmart. We all have busy lives, and even a seemingly simple task like heading to the grocery store can be a pain sometimes. That's why you need to use Walmart's grocery pickup. It's quick, easy, free, and saves so much time and effort. All you have to do is download the Walmart grocery app, place your order, and choose the pickup time and location. Then Walmart loads your car in minutes. It's just that easy. And you can trust Walmart's team of highly trained personal shoppers to always pick the freshest items for you, guaranteed, or your money back. So download Walmart's grocery app for free today. There are more ways to Walmart. Continue to jump into what this Maryland situation continues to give us in the way of news over the last couple of days, including this morning with the parents of Jordan McNair on Good Morning America. That and more, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, Domonique Foxworth, and Randy Scott in for the guys today on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Let's talk about buying a home for a minute. Because of rising interest rates, there's a lot of unpredictability when it comes to buying a home these days. It's causing a lot of anxiety and stress for a lot of people. Well, our friends at Quicken Loans are doing something about that. They're calling it the power buying process. Here's how it works. Quicken Loans will verify your income, your assets, and credit in less than 24 hours to give you a verified approval. That gives you the strength of a cash buyer. Then once you're verified, you qualify for their all-new exclusive Rate Shield approval. This is very cool here. First, they'll lock your rate up for 90 days while you shop. Now, here's the best part. If rates go up, your rates stay the same. But if rates go down, your rate also drops. Either way, you win. It's the kind of thinking you'd expect from America's largest mortgage lender. To get started, simple. Go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. Rate Shield approval, only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply based on Quicken Loans data in comparison to public data records. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Domonique Foxworth in D.C., Randy Scott here in Bristol, along with Roy and Outsider and or Mikey C. or Smokes. Down in Miami, Chris Cody, Guillermo. Allison down there, or no? Is Allison?
Yep,
Allison's there as well. Hey, Allison. She's my favorite. So, sorry, Roy. I did just meet Roy. He's shot up the ranks. Where do you want to go with this? Do you want to do more on Maryland? I feel like there's a lot there. Do you want to get into Jalen Ramsey? That feels like the most fun story of the day so far.
All right, let's do Jalen. I think we can get back to Maryland at some point. There's a lot more to discuss there, but let's go Jalen. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for all cornerbacks, particularly ones who talk that Well, so Jalen makes me happy.
Has he? Okay. That answers my first question. Like, you don't think he's too young, too inexperienced, whatever, to say what he did?
No. I don't. So I guess I just don't get the argument there. Like he is telling you how he feels. He is talking trash. He's being honest, or maybe he doesn't believe this. Either way, it is adding to the drama of the season. It is adding, some storylines for us to care about. It is giving us a reason to watch Jalen Ramsey, a reason to watch these quarterbacks winning if he faces off with them. Like, I have a hard time with people who, I guess, try to not deify, but lift the sports to some religious level when it's like, no, it's entertainment. It's not any different than Real Housewives. Like, it's a television show. And if someone is going to give me a reason to watch because they talk good, then I'm all here for it.
I failed in setting this up. I did this clunkily, and in an inexperienced way. This is Jalen Ramsey gave an opinion of 20 some odd quarterbacks to GQ magazine. Wide ranging interview, but he was blunt and honest in his assessment of everybody from, Jared Allen to, let's see here,
Joe Flacco,
Jared Goff, Flacco,
Ben Roethlisberger,
on up to Tom
Eli
Brady.
Manning.
Yeah, on up, like everybody. And it's, when I say honest, like, okay, Joe Flacco, quote, he sucks. Allen, he's trash. Who else? Tyrod Taylor, underrated. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Roethlisberger was, he said the receivers essentially make Roethlisberger. He just throws it up, essentially.
Same with Eli Manning. It was the same deal. That it's more the connection with Odell Beckham Jr. Otherwise, Manning's not that good of a quarterback. Like, he's honest. He says Nick Foles is apparently good enough to win a Super Bowl. Of his own quarterback, Blake Bortles said, Blake, do what he got to do. He won us the AFC Championship, so playoff Blake is okay. My problem with this, and I don't want to call out anybody in particular, but we have heard from some of the older heads in journalism who say, hey, he hasn't been around enough. Who is he to say this of these quarterbacks? And my thing is, he's an all-pro, right? So literally half his time in the NFL, he's played 2 seasons, he's played at an all-pro level. And B, like, I feel like we always criticize athletes and coaches for coach speak and speaking in sound bites and using cliche and all that stuff. We want honesty. We say we want it, and when we're given it, we criticize it.
Yeah, I don't even care that he's an all-pro. Like, he could be terrible, and I would still appreciate the fact that he is giving us something to talk about and something to root for or root against. Like, any great drama television movie, it has like strong characters, strong villains, strong heroes. Like, these are things that you need. And for me, Jalen Ramsey is becoming one of the people I want to root for more because of the things that he says. And it's probably making him hateable for some other people, and that's going to make them care more. That's going to make them want to watch. I don't understand why people have a hard time understanding that sports is entertainment, and this is just part of that entertainment. It's great. Now, you compound it by the fact that Jalen Ramsey is a great player in a position in Jacksonville, frankly, a place that's not going to get a ton of attention, who probably wants that attention. And I'm not saying that this is strategic by him by any means, but maybe it is. It's hard to become a breakout star as a football player. You go on the street and most people could name many more basketball players and can point them out by face, and probably even several baseball players. But it's not the same for a cornerback in Jacksonville, no matter how good you are. So I think it is good for him. It's healthy for him. I don't know what impact it has on the team. I'm not going to go that far, but as long as he keeps playing well, he's going to be an asset that needs to be promoted, and he's going to promote himself whether we want to do it or not.
It's Domonique, Foxworth, and Randy Scott in for the guys on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz, and I deserve a fine. I don't know that I'm even in that hierarchy of the show device, but I called him Jared Allen, who made his career hunting down quarterbacks. It's Josh Allen. Josh Allen in Buffalo. So Bills Nation, Bills Mafia, I apologize. And I quite frankly, I'm going to read more about what Jalen Ramsey said about Josh Allen. In addition to saying, I think Allen is trash, he doubles down. He goes, I don't care what nobody say. He's trash, and it's going to show too. That's a stupid draft pick to me. We play them this year, and I'm excited as hell. I hope he's their starting quarterback. He played at Wyoming. Every time they played a big school, like they played Iowa State, which is not a big school in my opinion because I went to Florida State, and he threw 5 interceptions and they lost by a couple touchdowns or something like that. He never beat a big school. He's a big, tall quarterback, big arms supposedly. I don't see it personally. Like, he was unafraid. He took a shot there at Iowa State. He didn't even mean to.
It's fantastic. I don't understand how you can be bothered by that. Like, people would rather have him say, well, yeah, everyone's going to do their best. I believe in them. Young guys, good luck. Like, seriously? Who really wants that? And I even accept that maybe this is not something that you would do as a player, or not something you like players to do, but it doesn't matter. It makes it more intriguing, and he's not hurting anybody. Like, this, to me, there is no downside for me, unless I'm a Jags fan and I believe that this is somehow going to hurt our team in some way. But I am not a fan of any particular team. I'm a fan of entertaining people. I love Odell Beckham. I love Jalen Ramsey. I love Le'Veon Bell. I love guys who perform on the field and also give you something to talk about off the field.
Jaguars play at Buffalo on November 25th, and I think if you're really, and listen, I don't believe what I'm about to say. Can I throw that out as a disclaimer? Like, but if you're maybe Tom Coughlin, right? The oldest school of old school coaches, or even people associated with the game right now, this is a week, and I know the interview was probably done before what happened earlier in the week where Jalen Ramsey got into it and basically declared war on the Jaguars media because they were filming, the player fight, I guess, at Jaguars camp. I guess that was over the weekend. So you've got a busy week where your guy, as talented as he is making all this news off the field. And I think they're so fearful, front offices and coaching staffs, of players becoming distractions, right? That's such a big touchstone, third rail for them, that I guess that's the only downside. But otherwise, and to me, that's even a stretch. But based on what you know of Tom Coughlin, Domonique, is that something he would be fearful of?
I mean, probably. I personally just don't believe in the idea of distractions for NFL teams. I think it's just like a word that fits for coaches just wanting to control their players. Because I've been on plenty of teams, and I've talked about this on the radio before. I've been on plenty of teams where guys will lose family members during the season, and they come out and play just fine. Or guys have like legitimate beef between them and other teammates, and then they come out and work together just fine on the field. Like, this type of stuff to me, and I've been on teams where players were arrested. I was on a team where a player was killed. And it was like, these are real things that go on, and it does not affect many of the players' performance on the field. Like, you don't make it to the NFL by not having the ability to compartmentalize those things and focus on what's important. No one who's in the league now is actually distracted by these things that coaches say are distractions.
I couldn't agree more, and quite frankly, you would know. You played at that level and you played in the league. It's wildly entertaining to me, and I just don't see anything wrong with it. But listen, if you are Josh Allen, not Jared Allen, I understand why you probably have hurt feelings. Hey, let's make you aware of this series coming to Netflix. From Matt Groening, legendary creator of The Simpsons and Futurama, comes Disenchantment, an epic animated tale set in a medieval fantasy world full of elves, sorcerers, ogres, and lots of human fools. It's a rich and complex universe offering endless characters, stories, and laughs. Follow the misadventures of hard-drinking Princess Bean, voiced by Abby Jacobson, her feisty elf companion Elfo, voiced by Nat Faxon, and her personal demon, Lucy, voiced by Eric Andre, as they form an unlikely trio and go on adventures together. Watch the new Netflix original series, Disenchantment, starting tomorrow, only on Netflix. We'll delve into a little bit more of what's going on at Maryland and possibly revisit Chris Cody's horrible take on Jose Urena. That and more with Domonique Foxworth and Randy Scott in for the guys on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Dan Le Batard. And finally, the shortest, most concise tongue twister is toy boat. Try saying that 5 times fast. Toy boat, toy boy, toy boy, toy boat, toy boat.
He came closer than I did. Toy boy, toy boy, toy boy, toy boy, toy boy.
Stugotz.
Everybody, let's go around the room. Chris, what do you got? What do you got? Give us 5 straight toy boats. Say it as fast as you can.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Domonique Foxworth down in D.C., closer to home, right? You're in Maryland these days?
Yeah. Well, I live in D.C.
You live in D.C.
I grew up in Baltimore. I live in D.C. You're from the area, right? I know you're a Caps guy.
Yeah, for sure. Stanley Cup champion, Washington Capitals. No
Congratulations.
Thank you, Roy. And I know you. And you know what? I know you mean that sincerely, so I appreciate that.
It hurts to say.
Yeah, I'm over. I grew up over on the Virginia side, and so I ran into the trap working here, where it's like you meet people from all over the country. It's like going to a big school out of state, and like you're like, oh, where are you from? It's like, oh, DC. And they're like, and people will check you. They're like, wait, DC? And I'm like, no.
So my wife is her whole family is from DC, and like you have to actually live in the city limits. So the last team I played for was in Baltimore, and so we eventually decided we're going to move to DC. And so I was like, well, we can look in like the suburbs around. I refuse to live in Virginia. I would have lived in Maryland, but I can't live in Virginia. That's just unacceptable. But she was like, nah, we got to live in the city. Like we actually have to have a DC zip code. Like it's a thing down here.
So wait, what? Hold on now. Virginia, why no Virginia?
I mean, it's just like a mental block. Like growing up in Maryland and Baltimore, like though Baltimore and Maryland are like technically the South, I believe technically below the Mason-Dixon line, like us in Baltimore, we consider ourselves more like Northeast. And being in Virginia feels like you're in the South. And it's just, I mean, I'm not comfortable with saying that I live in the South. So living in D.C., I'm okay with that. I just can't say I live in Virginia.
Man, you ever been to Western Maryland? You want to talk about the South?
Oh, yeah. I understand. I said it was a mental block. It is not based on facts or logic. It's just like the same way my wife is like, we have to have a DC address. Yeah. I'm like, I can't tell people I live in Virginia. Like when I'm traveling, people are like, where you live? Virginia? Nah, I can't do it.
That's fine. Pay that DC rent, pay those DC taxes, man.
It's a monster.
Yeah, that's fine. My thing was working again here. People were like, wait, DC? And you're like, no. Sheepishly like Virginia. And they're like, but you don't have a Southern accent because remember the Titans ruined that for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got little Hayden Panettiere out there going, in Virginia, high school football is life. It's like, no, it's not. It's not life anywhere in Virginia.
I mean, that's, if you lived in a DC suburb, part of Virginia, that's different than the rest of Virginia. Like it reminds me of when I got traded to the Falcons, and I got traded from the Broncos, where I was there with my teammate, Champ Bailey, and he grew up in Georgia and went to the University of Georgia. And so before I left, I was like, yeah, so what's Atlanta like? And he was like, well, Atlanta's fine, but once you get outside of Atlanta, you're in Georgia.
Yeah.
And the same thing is probably true for a lot of Virginia. It's like once you get outside of Alexandria and these areas that are up here close to DC, you're in Hayden Panettiere, Virginia, which is a thing, whether you want to admit it or not.
That's Arlington, though. That I think is Alexandria. It was T.C. Williams High School, and it's in the Beltway, man. Anywhere inside the Beltway. And that was my thing, is like you get a Southern accent in Virginia once you get to like Richmond and south. And that line keeps moving south. But hey, enough of this. This is self-serving. This is self-serving radio, and no one outside of this area cares. Let's get to your idea about the woods, because this story, I don't know who found it. Whoever found this story, thank you. I think, Cody, was it you? This is a tremendous story.
You're welcome.
No, it was Roy. And Chris doesn't get any credit.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it came in Roy's show sheet. It talked about an Ohio man who was in Washington State, not the District of Columbia, and he got lost in the woods and ended up surviving on berries and bees, which, like, how long could you survive? That's the number one question. And we're going to assume ideal weather conditions. You don't have to deal with too hot. You don't have to deal with too cold. Just about finding food and eating and that sort of stuff. How long do you think you could last?
So like San Diego woods? Like perfect weather woods, right?
Yeah. We'll go San Diego woods.
How long does it take to die of starvation? Because that's how long.
I feel like water, you need water before you need food, I think. I think you could die of dehydration, I believe, before you could die of starvation.
I could find water. I would be able to find water, and I'd be able to jump face first into a stream or a puddle of some sort. Like, I might get sick from whatever I'm drinking, but it wouldn't be for lack of effort. So I could do that, but man, in terms of eating anything wild, unprepared, like, dude, I'd dead. Dead however long. Fish? I could eat fish. Couldn't catch one, but I could eat.
Shipping container. Well, let's go around the shipping container. What can those guys? How long can you last down there, Billy Gill?
In the woods, I could last, in ideal conditions, which is what we were talking about off air, like let's say 73, 74 degrees, not bad weather, I could last 4 hours.
I could last till I run out of cigarettes, probably.
I'm lasting at least 38 to 42 hours. I got a lot here that I could eat up myself.
There you go. Okay.
I probably got a good week in me.
You can't last
there
a
we
week.
go, Roy.
Get out of here.
You could go a week.
Yeah, I could go a week.
You could find food.
Yeah, I could. Well, there's plants You know, you can eat plants.
But you don't know what plants to eat.
If you're in the woods, there are plenty of plants around you that you can eat.
Yeah.
And the insects that might crawl on them as well.
Would you eat bees? This guy ate bees.
Well, desperate times, you know.
I guess.
I've eaten ants before.
On purpose?
Yeah. We did like this project in business school where we had to travel to like another country and work, whatever. But anyway, so I'm in Brazil with some classmates and somebody made reservations at one of the world's top 10 restaurants. I'll look it up. I forgot what it was called. And the final course that they brought out were, lemongrass kind of flavored ants. And I mean, I ate them. They were delicious, refreshing.
Yeah, but in that scenario, you know it's not going to be something that's actually going to harm you. Like, you could eat anything that they would give you there because you know this is like something that's going to be safe.
But I've already crossed that threshold. So I feel like I am more prepared than anybody because I've eaten ants before and maybe they won't be lemongrass flavored and as delicious. But if we're out there, I'll wolf down some ants.
Okay, hold on. If this guy from Ohio, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on this 40-year-old, but would he survive longer in the woods of Mount St. Helens, the wilderness, in the forest? Would he survive longer there in Washington State or in the wilds of Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, he's not getting out of D.C. alive.
Not after, however, what was this, a week? I don't know. That'd be tough. Although the D.C. that I grew up with has changed, man.
Yeah, D.C. is very different. I have to hear it again from my wife and her family all the time. Yeah. How different D.C. is and how the streets have changed. So I think he might be good in today's D.C. He's not down with Randy Scott's D.C. though.
I don't know about, no, few people are. Now, if would he survive, this guy's from Ohio, longer duration of time, his survival in the forest or Ohio State University's investigation into Urban Meyer?
Oh, he's a dead man.
He's a dead man, right? Because it's dragging on a bit. We might get into that. Who knows? Who knows where the show is going to take us? Domonique, Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Dan Le Batard. Your outrage, America, is so phony. Like, I can't even explain it to you. Your outrage means nothing. You're sitting here thinking social media changes everything. My voice can be heard. It means nothing.
Stugotz.
Why is this country so dumb? Honestly, how'd we get ahead of everybody this way?
I certainly have no idea. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So, you, sir, have a history in stand-up comedy?
It's appropriate that you put a question mark on the end of that. Who put a question mark in the teleprompter? Yeah, I was not good at it. I was okay at it, and I got up to a point where I could do about 20 minutes, which feels, when you're bombing, as I so often did, it feels like forever. But I got to the feature role, like the middleman, basically, in a night, like on a normal night, you would have an MC, you'd have an opener, you'd have a feature, and then you'd have the headliner. And I got to a point where I could feature or middle. So be like, hey, you're going to middle on, Thursday. Like, I was never a weekend anything, but like, it was something to make a little bit of money, but also like stay entertained, because there was a time in 2008 where I was on unemployment in Florida, in Tampa. Like, we had moved up after I was working in Fort Myers as a sports anchor. My wife got a job as a news reporter. She was like, you want to move? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And so we moved up to Tampa, and like, it was tough to get jobs, man. 2008 in Florida was tough. I don't know if it was that way over in Southeast Florida, but it was that way in West Florida, Central Florida, wherever you called Tampa. And like, I was freelancing whenever I could, but I think that year on my tax returns, I made like $9,000, $11,000, like something not awesome. And that was a lot of temp work, but, so I had my nights free. Let's just say that, because my wife was a news, reporter at the time. So like, I went to an open mic night at the Tampa Improv, and I didn't know it was a contest, but I know I won. And I got $100 for 5 minutes, and I was so excited. Like, I came back to my now wife and then girlfriend, and I was like, I had this whole plan, like driving back from Ybor over to where we lived. I was like, this is it. Like, I can do this. If I get $100 a night and I could do that 3 nights a week, that's $300 a week. And then and I was doing all the math, and she just shut it down. She's like, it wasn't like she didn't believe I could do it. She was just like, this is not a life for people who want to be young, married, stable people. And it's really, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's really hard, because you do have to go anywhere at the moment's notice and be willing to work for like Like $100 a night for somebody starting out is unheard of. Like basically you're working for a fraction of that, but you're just getting stage time, getting exposure, and trying to get noticed. So I have a lot of respect for the people who do it. And
I understand where your wife was coming from, but I don't know. Kevin Hart might not be who he is right now.
Hold
if
on,
Randy Scott would have stuck to it. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests of the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pinto Performance Line. And now your SportsCenter update. It should have been several minutes ago, but I got distracted by Randy's great talent.
And I wouldn't shut up.
Johnny Manziel has been placed on the CFL's concussion protocol by the Montreal Alouettes. Tigers designated hitter Victor Martinez says that this season will most likely be his last. Hey, just a reminder. If during your deck is on your to-do list this summer, put new Valspar stain on your shopping list. That way you can get all weather protection in more inspiring colors. Valspar exterior stain only at Lowe's. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
What about you? I mean, did you have any side careers, side hustles before football that maybe you look back on and you're like, man, I can't believe I did that?
No. I like football was all consuming.
Yeah.
It was, that was all of my hustles, my side hustle, my main hustle. It definitely, I didn't have any other, I had other things that I was interested in doing, but football was the thing. It became kind of like a full-time job, or not a full-time job, but it became a job in, I guess like sophomore, junior year in high school when I was like, all right, well, I need to get a scholarship, so I need to really focus on this. But yeah, I'm not that funny. I couldn't do stand up.
You are that funny, but you're a reactionary. Like your responses to stuff, like that's what makes stand up comedy insane. Like you're going up there, you know the audience may like it, may not like it. You know they could interrupt, but like you have to generate the content. Like there's a guy, Big J Okerson is one of my favorite comedians, and he just put out an album that is all crowd work, and that to me is terrifying. But he gets up there and just controls the conversation, controls the pace, and he put out a whole album of it, and it's hilarious. And like that's how I knew I was over my skis. Like there are so many people at ESPN, obviously that I have a long way to go to get on their level or track down or whatever it is. And like, but I'm not
accepting that. I'm not accepting that. We need to remake you into a more Jalen Ramsey-esque character.
Yeah, stop being humble.
Yeah, get out of here because you're not. I don't believe that you actually believe that. I believe that you are giving us the ESPN radio version of Coach speak.
No,
I don't want that.
This is SportsCenter Randy right now.
No, I can't.
We need radio Randy.
No, but I what I was going to say before I was verbally jumped was
we're trying to help you
before I was verbally initiated. No, as I do, like I feel confident enough to be able to host a show with, like I've done a show with like John Anderson or Butchie Gross or some guys who've been here a lot longer than I have and are smoother at it than I am, and like, but I still felt like I belonged enough to do that. So, but with comedy, man, I was so out of my element with guys who are even just local, and I say just, but like local Tampa guys who probably were never and will never blow up, but were still so good and so adaptable and versatile and able to handle anything. Like and they're doing it for $20 a night. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like talk about love of the game, I guess. Like that's what these guys were doing it for. Obviously hoping they would blow up, but they were so much better than I was.
Who is the SportsCenter anchor that's been here for a while that you're better than? Name them. Name names. Come on, Jalen. Who's trash? Who is, or you could do a young one because Jalen Ramsey also took out guys like Josh Allen, who hasn't even played an actual regular season game yet and called them trash. And he called Super Bowl champions, terrible. So you could do that. So go after whoever you want before the end of this segment. Name a name.
We don't hire trash people. Like that's,
okay. I think maybe no one's trash.
I think you know that.
But who are you better than?
Who am I better than?
Yeah.
I'm better. Let's see. And I'll say this because I've known him the longest.
No. Get out of here with your caveats. I'm trying to help you. Let's go.
How are you helping me? You're handing me a grenade, pulling the pin, and being like, hold this.
Yeah, this is helpful.
No. I'm telling you to throw it.
Yeah, throw it, Randy.
Throw it?
I'm telling you to throw it.
Name a name or tell a joke.
Yeah, one joke.
Oh, okay. I could tell a joke. I am trying to think. So my opener was pretty provocative, we'll say, and it had a shock value thing. So I'm not going to do that. I'm like running through it in my head.
All right, so name a name then.
Oh, Florida.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so no. I would say that you would meet people from certain parts of the country, especially Michigan, And the way of them telling you where they were from is they would hold up their hand. Because Michigan is shaped like a mitten state, so they'd hold up their hand and be like, I'm from, and they'd point to a spot on their thing. And so I would extrapolate that to eventually get to Florida and be like, so what do people from Florida do? What body part do they show to show where they're from? Which I think you don't get it. I can't get more explicit.
What part?
But you would be like,
get the crickets ready. Warm up the crickets.
You'd be like, oh, hey, you may want to get your Orlando checked out, or you have a rash on your St. Augustine that you may want to go see a doctor. So, like, that was I told you I wasn't good at it, and I'm couching it.
Right.
Bit wordy.
Right.
You want $100 for that?
No, that was after months of practice. So anyway, the Sports Center anchor that I feel confident.
Give us a name.
Calling out.
Thank you.
Let's go with the less famous Matt Berry. Can we do
that? You added a nickname to it too? You called him less famous?
Well, I don't want to say Matt Berry and then have Matthew Berry get called out. So we'll go Matt Berry.
You're not going with fantasy football Matt Berry. You're going with Sports Center anchor Matt Berry.
I'm better at Sports Center than that Matt Berry too, but
Whoa!
Both the Radio Randy?
Both the Berries?
What?
Get him, Randy! Baka!
Oh, there's going to be a fight in the parking lot.
No fight.
Fight in the calf.
I got your back, Randy.
I thought we were speaking truths.
I mean, if the Berries want to see it with you, Randy, tell them to come on.
I'm saying,
I got you.
Take some earrings off. Is it Walmart time?
Yes.
All right. We all have busy lives, and even at seemingly
I thought we were going to fight at Walmart.
Seemingly simple task like heading to the grocery store can be a pain sometimes. That's why you need to use Walmart's grocery pickup. It's quick, easy, free, and saves so much time and effort. All you have to do is download the Walmart grocery app, place your order, and choose the pickup time and location. Then Walmart loads your car in minutes. It's just that easy. And you can trust Walmart's team of highly trained personal shoppers to always pick the freshest items for you, guaranteed or your money back. So download Walmart's grocery app for free today. There are more ways to Walmart. I think I have another part of the comedy
First,
routine.
I got a question. Can Walmart pick up this whooping that the Berries about to catch from Randy Scott?
I'm going to have 2 scoops of berries waiting for me in the parking lot when I get out to my car. It's going to be,
boy.
You guys are getting me in some trouble. I think I have one more joke from the routine I think I can do. I'll run it by Roy in the break.
Warm them up, guys. Warm them up.
We'll see if that comes back. Domonique, Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys. The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Is your home an ADT home? Get ADT and help protect against break-ins, fire, and carbon monoxide. For a limited time, get ADT's lowest rate starting at just $28.99 a month from the most trusted name in home security. ADT is the first security company to help keep you safe at home and when you're on the go. Go to ADT.com/podcast to take advantage of ADT's lowest rate. With 36-month monitoring contract, early termination and installation fees apply. Excludes taxes and fees. Applies to traditional services only. Certain markets excluded. Licenses available at ADT.com.
I think to keep the show narrative going, we need to decry Elon Musk and basically say, like, he's going to talk a lot about this and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like
Stugotz started that and it didn't seem like a great corner to be on, but it seems so right. Like, I mean, what really? I think last I read, SpaceX they're talking about going private with Saudi money because they can't get the funding that they need. Things aren't going great for Elon Musk, but I guess he's still like a billionaire, right?
Everything's fine around here. I'm Elon Musk.
It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott in for the guys today. I think that was Garrett. Was that Guillermo?
No, Randy.
No.
It's Elon Musk.
Obviously.
Elon Musk.
Nothing to see here.
He looks like he dyes his hair like you, Randy.
There's nothing.
I'm looking at a picture of Elon Musk right now.
Yeah.
You and Elon got that in common.
He's handsome then. Elon, do you dye your hair?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's me. That's me on that island.
Oh man, I'm Elon Musk.
There's nothing to see here. I do feel like the next major thing that he accomplishes will be the first one in a long time. Am I wrong in that?
No, I feel like you're right. He's And he's had like these public, like, I guess not mistakes, but embarrassing moments with like the submarine that was supposed to rescue the kids, but was apparently too big for the tunnel. And then he clapped back at the guy, who was actually there trying to save them and came at him in a very unkind way. So yeah, it's been a bad run. And he went after the media not too long ago. Elon Musk at one point he was kind of like, I think this is true. They kind of built the Iron Man character with Elon Musk in mind, right? And now he is no longer that type of guy. So it's kind of sad, unfortunate. Maybe if he reduces travel time from an hour to 4 minutes, I think he catapults himself right up back to the top of at least LA society.
Yeah, but I feel like underground anything in Southern California is not all that safe. Like earthquakes it's a reason you don't have basements in California, right? Is because of plate movements and the whatnot.
I thought that was like, well, I guess maybe it's all of California, but I guess I think of earthquakes, I think of San Francisco. But I mean, I guess if you can cut off that amount of travel time, like, I don't know, I feel like people would be willing to risk their lives for a lot less than to save 56 minutes. Yeah.
I don't want to go in the tunnel, Daddy. We have Dodger tickets. We are going. You are getting in this underground vehicle.
It's worth it. So, Reddy, you are a DC area guy also.
Yes.
And the DC United seems to have found a gem with this little-known soccer player named Wayne Rooney.
Who?
He is balling. My man, Little Wayne, is making lots of big plays. Were you a DC United fan before? Are you now?
Yeah, I was. I haven't been for a long time. I have a friend of mine from high school played for them. Sean Kuykendall got a cup of coffee with DC United. So, like, that was our little town's claim to fame until there was a CIA spy arrested from my town.
You have to pick that name up.
2000. Sean Kuykendall, man, he's the dude. He actually passed away a couple years ago, so it's sort of that story as well. He died from like a rare cancer. But yeah, man. But the problem was, I don't know about you, and maybe your wife Domonique can speak to this better. But like, there was a problem with the stadium, right? People wanted them to stay at RFK, or the stadium was too expensive, or I don't really know. I'm gonna look this up, but is it true that people weren't psyched about it?
Probably, yeah, I don't know. I was asking you about DC United because I'm not a big, like, local soccer guy, but I was hung up on the idea that you are not your town's claim to fame. How's that not a thing? How is some FBI, or what do you say, CIA situation? How is that bigger than the fact that Randy Scott is from wherever you're from?
I'm not even the most famous ESPN person from my high school. Like, do you remember John Brenke, Sports Science?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he went to my high school. He went to my high school, like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, before I did. So he's older. I'm younger, but yeah, like, I called, dude, this is sad, but I want to get into the public speaking game. I feel like I have a lot to offer to future generations. I can work out new comedy material. So I called my high school and offered, and I was like, hey, could I speak at convocation? Could I speak at graduation or whatever? I'll do it for free. I'm going to come down, visit my brother and sister. They were like, no, we're good.
Wow.
We're all set. I was like, what about next year? Like, we've got the next 5 years planned out. I was like, I don't know.
spoke at my high school. Come on.
You spoke at your high school?
I did, yeah.
What? Was it like a technical vocational deal, or?
It was to the business, their DECA group there. Yeah.
I was in DECA.
Man, you're talking to somebody who did the commencement speech at University of Maryland. So, I mean, if we're talking about people talking to their schools, like.
Yeah. Hey, you want to talk more about Maryland?
Oh, can we just talk about the about the years ago before our football team was killing people, and when I was giving commencement speeches? That was a better time.
How long ago did you do it, and how did it go?
It was, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and I mean, it was terrific. I'm handsome and amazing. I nailed it. I think I'm quite possibly was the best commencement speaker that they had in the history of the university. Like, I mean, a lot of people are saying it.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it myself, but it was kind of the thing that was floating around.
Handsome, loquacious, modest, all of it. You struck all the chords.
If it wasn't for this narcissism, I'd be perfect.
Dom, I actually have a similar story to yours.
Oh, you just called him Dom.
Yeah, he doesn't like that.
He
doesn't like that.
He doesn't like
You gave the commencement speech for Maryland. I added myself to the notable alumni on the Wikipedia page for my high school.
Yes.
And then I was removed.
What?
Yeah, Wiki didn't like me.
What's the standard, man? You would qualify?
What's that process? Like, is there somebody who's just, I don't know, I guess your high school's a big deal. Is someone checking it every day to see if the notable alumni got updated and then judging it?
Well, Diplo went to my high school, so I guess he surveys that website, and he wasn't happy with me being on the same list as him.
Oh, okay. Let's beef with Diplo. Let's do that.
I'm down with it. I don't like him anyway.
Yeah.
Start it up. Show beef. Stugotz can go fight Diplo.
I'm on Domonique Foxworth's Wikipedia page right now. I'm trying to check any of this. Born in Oxford, England? True or false?
Technically Upper Hayford, but yes, true.
There's one error. Moved to Maryland when you were kindergarten aged?
That's true.
Western Tech?
Yep, Western School of Technology and Environmental Science, my high school.
All right. Western Tech would have sufficed. All Atlantic Coast Conference honors? Twice?
Many times. By many times, I mean twice.
Multiple. We'll call it multiple.
Yeah, I like that better than twice. Multiple, yeah.
Attended Harvard Business School. Earned an MBA. That feels false.
Yeah, made that up. I mean, nobody can check it, though.
And what is the first annual Tim Wheatley Award from the Baltimore Sun Media Group?
Community service.
All right, so far it all checks out. We'll find something. Born in 1983. Wait a minute, am I older than you?
Why are you surprised?
I don't know. It just
Randy,
feels...
you look a lot older.
Yeah, that's true. I sleep on my face, so that's probably part of it. And I dye my hair, and it's fading. And you said that I'm going to go from a red phase to a white phase with my hair color as I phase it out. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be one of these people that disappears for like a month, and you can be like, what's wrong with, where did Randy go? Does he still work here? And then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to look like, who's the gray-haired dude on CNN with the famous
Wolf Blitzer?
Anderson Cooper.
Blitzer, yeah.
Anderson Cooper. Not that old, Roy. I mean, Wolf Blitzer.
I mean, you're a step away.
You're getting close.
Yeah, you're a year and a half from Wolf. You passed Anderson a long time ago, bro.
I am literally
keep it real with you.
Less than a year older than you, Domonique. I was born in 1982.
But we're talking about how you look, though.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah.
You're a year and a half away from Wolf Blitzer, and you passed Anderson Cooper 6-7 years ago.
Anderson Cooper would kill to look like me.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Put it on the poll.
No, don't put that on the poll.
Who would you rather spend an evening with?
I immediately regret my decision.
Yes.
You are going to get buried because
I immediately
Anderson Cooper is stunning.
He's in phenomenal shape.
And you, sir, meh.
Yeah, I agree with that. I own all of that. And if I'd known that Israel Gutierrez did a men's fitness spread when I hosted with him on Monday, believe me, that would have come up, but it didn't, and I missed my opportunity.
Talk about gorgeous.
Talk about it. Hey, summer's winding down, guys. Have you stained your deck yet? If the answer is no, then get on over to Lowe's. We've got Valspar one-coat exterior stain at buy one, get one half-off savings. But this sale runs now through August 19th only. So it's time to get off the deck and stain it. It couldn't be easier with Valspar one-coat stain. This buy one, get one half-off deal will not last forever, so don't miss out. Hurry on over to your favorite Lowe's store now through August 19th. We've got Peter Berg, director of Mile 22, coming up at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll figure out what to talk about and the rest of it. We'll read more Wikipedia pages. I'll find out if I have one. Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott, in for the guys. The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Dan Le Batard. Dan's ridiculous. Idiot.
I know it was a terrible Barkley impersonation.
Never heard it before. It was just
Suey nominee.
Stugotz.
Really bad.
You guys want to try all your Barkleys?
Oh, that's a terrible idea.
That's pretty good. That's better. Anyone else want to get in on the bidding?
Ernie, Dan Le Batard is an idiot. It's terrible.
Yeah. Pretty good. I don't want to go after that.
Yeah, Kitty. Let me tell you something, Kitty. That Dan Le Batard is an idiot.
Thank you, Roy.
You're welcome, Dan.
Tell your fat daddy I hate him.
Oh! Fat Chris making an appearance. Fat Chris once again a surprise.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We've had a lot of fun, a lot of it at my expense, totally fine. But there is some sports sort of business to take care of. I feel like the Maryland story advanced a little bit today off of the death of Jordan McNair back in June, stemming from heat stroke from the late May workout where he was improperly attended to. I think even the school has admitted to that, improperly attended to in a medical fashion which contributed to his death. And today we heard from McNair's parents. And this was on Good Morning America today. You might hear the voice of Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan was conducting the interview for GMA, but in the wide-ranging interview, which was also attended by the family's lawyer, the parents were asked about the culture, the football culture at the University of Maryland.
Jordan was the type of person that he would give his all, he would give his best because someone asked him to do something. He will always give it his all. And so for him he wouldn't have stopped. He wouldn't have stopped because if that's the culture, then he didn't want to be called these names and things that they say that that they've been called. But
Michael, there's no doubt that there was a toxic culture there, and the toxic culture is what led to them to push Jordan beyond what his body could tolerate. It pushed them to look at him as being exhausted and out of shape, to curse at him as he was literally failing. That's toxic.
The strength and conditioning coach has resigned. Rick Court, he resigned. The head coach, DJ Durkin, he's on administrative leave. Do you guys think he should resign as well?
Yes, absolutely. He shouldn't be able to work with anybody else's kid. You don't send your kid away to college, Michael. You send your kid away to college for them to be developed into young people, and that's physically, emotionally, spiritually, and just teach these people, teach our young kids, or our young people that we work so hard to get there to, hey, I'm giving my child to you. Keep him safe. And they did anything but that. So, of course, he should be fired.
All right, so again, I want to defer to Domonique Foxworth, the Maryland alum and the Maryland product here. You hear that pain from Jordan McNair's parents, and how does that register with you, Domonique?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes all of it seem kind of small. So, Jordan is from Randallstown, the same city I lived in and grew up in Baltimore County. So, I mean, that shouldn't make it feel any different, but it does kind of make it drive home for me a little bit more. Like, it makes me feel like I know him despite the fact that I've never met him, and it hurts. And all these things that you think there's a belief, and a lot of this stuff comes from this belief that you can outwork your opponent, and that whoever works the hardest or whoever pushes themselves the furthest or to the brink is gonna somehow perform better. Like, that just isn't true. Like, I feel like you reach a certain point where you are in the best shape that you're going to be in, and pushing guys past that, I don't know that if coaches believe that that's going to give them a better chance to win and give them opportunity to get a bigger contract at their next opportunity, or if they believe that somehow it's going to make the players tougher. Like, my experience has always been like, there are guys who are quote unquote tough, whatever that definition is. There are some guys who are tougher than others. Running people harder doesn't really make them any tougher. The guys who are tough before you started running are the same ones who are afterwards. So there is something to be said for going through tough times, kind of builds a bond amongst teammates. So I think that is true, but you go a little too far when people are starting to have heat stroke. And again, like, I don't care much what happens to the University of Maryland program, but I do think, I'm not saying this just as a means to like deflect from the Maryland program. Whatever happens with those guys is fine. But I do think that this is not a culture that exists only at the University of Maryland. It's something that exists across many big time universities and some high schools. Like, I think the average is somewhere, it's north of 5. It might be 8, kind of exhaustion-related deaths related to football across the country every year.
That was it. I mean, this was not, unfortunately, you see heart attacks, and you see sickle cell-related deaths. You see obviously accidental deaths with that age group, but this was preventable. I think that's a problem. Is like, this was so imminently preventable if only a myriad of adults had done the bare minimum of what's asked of them in this role. And that's what the family has to come to grips with. It's what the school has to come to grips with. And I look at it as, you would be naive. One would be naive to think that Maryland is the only one that has this problem. Just like you said, that it's high schools to get to that point. It's colleges to get to the NFL. And for all we know, there may be a level of pressure at the NFL level. I don't know how the new CBA limitations might have changed it, but for a while, I think maybe before your playing days, Domonique, this probably was an issue in the NFL as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all think back to Corey Stringer, who died related to the exercises, but our last CBA did put in some pretty hard and fast restrictions on, and it was aimed at preventing coaches from this kind of arms race situation where they feel like they have that someone, if they're not working out or they're not working hard enough, that some other team is working even harder. And I think that's kind of a downward spiral. And it was also aimed at preserving guys' heads and reducing those contacts. So, I mean, this game is, I know that many people who follow this know that the NCAA was formed because too many people were dying as a result of football. So this is not new. This game is not is not suddenly dangerous. It has been dangerous for a long time, and I'm not sure what the future of it's going to look like if things like this continue to happen.
Enough of the serious talk. We will get to the fun part of football today, and it's courtesy of Jalen Ramsey, a story that's been out there for about 24 hours, but continues to be the gift that keeps on giving. Domonique, I want to ask you to look at some of these quotes, these quarterback comparisons from Jalen Ramsey, and pick the one that you most agree with, and pick the one that maybe you have the biggest problem with. So you've got the break to figure that out. Domonique Foxworth, Randy Scott, in for the guys. The Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Dan Le Batard. But I don't know what you do with the public comments, because last time we heard from Hassan Whiteside, he's questioning the way he's used, and then 10 days later he's saying publicly, I believe in all of Spo's decisions. I believe in him. Nothing Hassan says means anything. It's cartoon words.
Stugotz. You seem really broken up about this, man.
It does seem like you're holding back tears.
Yeah.
You want a napkin?
What's going on?
Because of the way I'm speaking?
Yeah.
Drink something.
It sounds like I'm emotional about this.
That Barry Jackson report hit you hard, man.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We're going to try to keep this segment a little shorter, but I do want to start. So you said you agree with the Andrew Luck thing that Jalen Ramsey said. Again,
no, I disagree with that.
You disagree with it.
Yeah,
Again, if you haven't seen it, Jalen Ramsey in GQ magazine went honest, like full-fledged, straight honesty. If you can't take it, that's your problem, on at least 20 NFL quarterbacks.
So the list is Josh Allen is trash. That's the top of the list.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's too soon to proclaim that. And I guess the Joe Flacco sucks one is, I guess statistically, there is no statistical definition for sucks, but if there was one, it's hard to make a case for Joe Flacco, but he's got a ring. So he could also just say he could win a Super Bowl, as he did about Nick Foles.
That's true, which was accurate. I feel like he's playing it safe with Nick Foles. I'm kind of surprised Nick Foles made the list.
Yeah.
But he's got, what was interesting, the Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz both will be an MVP at some point. Those are two guys coming off of serious knee injuries. The second one for Watson. So, I like Watson more than Wentz, but I don't know that I buy into either one of those. So I guess I disagree with those, but I agree with his take on, let's see here. Guess he's good for Garoppolo.
He said that Brady and Rodgers, they don't suck. I feel like they deserve a little bit better than that.
I guess I agree with that. Oh, Tannehill. That's what it is. Ryan Tannehill. Haven't heard good things. So to kind of loop in the shipping container, I know what I've heard about Tannehill, and one of my friends, my former bosses, is a sports guy down there in Miami, I think at the NBC affiliate, but he has sort of informed me on a couple of things about Tannehill, and I just the whole ejecting Kalen Ballage from the huddle because he missed an assignment, in kind of embarrassing the rookie at training camp. I think I agree most with that take on Tannehill.
The best part for me about that Tannehill one is this quote is not really circulating, but I read the article. He starts with Tannehill by saying, "Who's the Miami quarterback?" which I thought was funny because it was just him not really even knowing who he was, which kind of led to his opinion of him. He also said that about Matt Ryan. He's like, "What's the Atlanta quarterback's name?" I thought that was the funny part, is that he literally was giving opinions on these guys while not even really knowing who they are.
That's an MVP.
You just flexed on us, though, Chris, because it's clear that we didn't read the article. We were just reading the quotes. And you just, I read the whole thing. So let me show you all the quotes that you guys miss.
Oh. Cody, are you book movie guy? Are you the guy who reads the book before he goes sees the movie?
No.
Oh, Billy's answering that.
I was just
answering that for you.
I was just doing show research. That's the reason that I read the article.
So you're better than your job at me. Okay, cool. That's cool. I didn't know you to be so aggressive, but listen, if I call out Jose Urena,
please calm down.
That's what happens. It's good to know. It's good to know the line because I'm back. Domonique, are you back on Monday?
I am back on Monday.
So we're back together on Monday. I just need to know how hostile Chris Cody's going to be. I need to know where the line is.
I don't know how anyone could be hostile to you because when we started looking at each other's Wikipedia, I just got hit with a deluge of Randy Scott pictures, and your eyelashes, they're incredible. Like, it's hard for me to be mean to you now that I'm looking at these eyelashes. You got the best eyelashes at the company. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Put it on the poll.
I don't have a lot of confidence, but I agree with you on that, and I will take it. And thank you. That's the nicest thing I've heard all week. So we're gonna break now because we hope to have Peter Berg coming up, 12:40 p.m. Eastern. We'll get into Ronda Rousey, this new film, Mile 22, as well as Mark Wahlberg. That with Domonique Foxworth and Randy Scott with you on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN